Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, now's a bit kind of off the topic.
You might forget later.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you now. I'm going to tell you another time. Yeah, but somebody remind me that some of the finds I haven't really got into in Jerusalem and I wanted to go into. Anyway, so King David, before he rules in Hebron, okay, the first site that King David rules is in Hebron. That's after the life of, after the life of Saul, and for a very short period of time where one of Saul's military men take control, right? Then we have King David taking control in Hebron, in the south of the Judean hills, up in Hebron. 7 years before he moves to Jerusalem, and King David builds Jerusalem, and King David makes Jerusalem the kingdom. Why is Jerusalem, by the way, chosen by King David to be the capital of the land of the 12 tribes of Israel? Does anyone have any guesses? Or no? Because of what? No, actually, the water source in Jerusalem isn't that great. And the Gihon spring. You're right. There is a spring, but that can give any city a reason for existence. But why Jerusalem? For the center of the 12 tribes, guys. That's the clue. It's the center of the 12 tribes. Huh?
He wanted to keep the ark safe.
He wanted to keep the ark safe. Okay, but you're right that he brought the ark up to Jerusalem. King David brings the ark up to Jerusalem and builds a kind of temporary setting for it. But that could be in any place that he made. Why specifically that location, that physical location in the land of Israel? Guys, Jerusalem is a border town. Oh. It's a border town. It's a border between which two tribal regions? Between the tribal regions of Judah which is King David. Okay, Judah starts from the region of Jerusalem and goes south. Okay, and the tribe of Benjamin.
Yeah.
Benjamin. It's a meeting on the side. It's a border town between Judah and Benjamin. And who comes from the tribe of Benjamin?
Joseph.
Saul.
King Saul.
Oh, yeah.
King Saul comes from the tribe of Benjamin. And so, as an act of respect, as an act of lineage, of continuation, as an act of what is the word I'm looking for? Of honor. Okay. Jerusalem is going to also have a hand to the tribe of Benjamin, which is the tribe of King Saul. But how difficult is the history of King Saul and King David? It's the biggest love-hate relationship you can ever imagine. The guy has gone Saul is completely crazy about King David. And time and time again, sets out chase to go and get rid of who is essentially King Saul's greatest nemesis, right? The other guy, the other who is actually, I don't know. Do you think enemy? Is it enemy? I'm not sure that enemy is the word that I would use. But the greatest King Saul was jealousy and all kinds of problems that he had with King David, and so his wrath was always turned against King David. Now, how does King David escape the net each time?
It's always running.
He's all the time moving around. He's having to play stupid, right? He's having to play as if he's completely mad. But who's giving him the intelligence reports to get out all the time? Jonathan. Okay, one of King Saul's sons, a close ally of King David, all the time giving the King David the slip so that he manages to get out. And once in a while, God simply delivers King Saul to King David. There's no two ways about it. He's been delivered, and that takes place here in En Gedi. And in the Bible, there is the story of King David, who is already in one of these caves. Guys, look up, see how many caves, and you know all of the stories around the Dead Sea are linked to caves, right? So these huge areas, some of them very deep caves. David is already resting from the midday heat, resting from the midday torture, essentially, that is the sun here. And King David is sleeping inside, is resting inside the cave. Comes King Saul. King Saul also wants to rest and chooses, by chance, not knowing, that King David and a number of other fugitives as well that are together with King David, right? Fugitives of King Saul are inside the cave and delivered. That's into the hands of King David. And what does King David do?
So you wouldn't touch him. He cuts off a piece of his garment.
He cuts off the corner of a cloak, only to come later on to say, look,
Hey, I could
I
have
could
killed you.
have killed you. I could. You were delivered into my hands. I could have killed you. That could have been the end of it. And here I have saved you. And so get off my back. Essentially, right?
Yeah.
That's more or less what he's saying. To get off my back. Now, does King Saul get off his back? No, he doesn't get. It certainly. He says he will. He definitely says he will, but he doesn't get off King David's back. In other words, the En Gedi, and En Gedi is specifically mentioned as the position of that story. En Gedi is one of these motions where we see that David is higher than King Saul, has a higher existence, higher divinity than King Saul, and it takes place here in En Gedi. When David will eventually rule all of the land of Israel, he will rule lands that King Saul could never rule lands, the Jezreel Valley, Bet Shean, okay, these kinds of regions. King David will have a huge sphere of influence all the way from Gaza, all the way to the very north, and a sphere of influence that continues up throughout the western flank of the Fertile Crescent, okay, all the way up to